Welcome to our first video. We've been making okra today. Super casual. I already put the tomato paste in the pot. I started with this can here and this can opener, just to be fair. I added some water. I'll add water accordingly as we go. Here's where the magic begins, with some spices. These are the spices. The measurements are, well, you'll see. We don't want to overdo it on black pepper. It'll be spicy. We do need some. I would say recommend plenty of salt. Salt's good for you. Don't take my advice, but I salt things. You'll see me. It's almost gone for a reason. Cumin's important for this one. Just I'm lightly sprinkling over the top of the bowl, the pot, whatever you want to call it. This 7 spice here, you might, it's a Ziyad brand. Look for 7 spice. It's not common in everybody's homes, but if you know it, you know it. It shouldn't be hard to find. Got some nice fresh paprika here. Again, don't want to overdo it. It's not going to be like super spicy okra, but you want it to have that like flavor profile. It's like, soul food. Maybe wholesome, comfort food. And put some oregano in there. Again, we're just doing a light cover across the top of the pot. This doesn't have to be perfect. It will be good. We'll get some basil in here at the end. We'll go ahead and we'll mix that all up. It's really not all that much. Okay, now we're looking at our fresh ingredients here. I've got a handful of tomatoes. A couple of, these are just bell peppers. They look goofy. They came out of the garden. They're good. We've got a couple of yellow onions here and our pile of okra, because this is how we're going to make the okra. A lot of people don't know what to do with okra. Make a stew. Probably take me a minute here, because we got to make sure you have a nice chef knife, by the way. We got to take all the ends off of this. Kind of want to line it up, cut them like, maybe that's a little bit, here this is maybe a little bit too small. That's about right. They'll break down a bit in the stew as they cook. This okra's nice and firm. It will break down, but it lets you know that it's fresh. Fresh is always better. This is gonna be good. Now we've got all that chopped, we'll add it to the pot. Can't tell you how many times I'll dump stuff on the floor. Being all nice about it today. Mm-mm. Got our bell peppers. And we'll just cut the top off. Not worried about seeds or anything like that. Actually, you can use the sides. You don't have to be afraid to trim around the top here. Less wasteful. Try to use everything I can. Doesn't really matter how you cut the bell peppers so much. I prefer to just slice them and then slice them across. I guess I'm dicing them in the end. These are small. I say if you had like a green bell pepper or a red bell pepper from the store, I would just use one. I wouldn't bother using two. I got all this fresh stuff that I need to use at the moment, so we're gonna go ahead and use two. Now that piece had, like, see right here, this is not mold. This is just ground dirt. If it's white and it's fuzzy, throw it away. The whole thing. Don't even, the whole vegetable, I guess, is damaged at that point. You don't just cut around it, you just pitch it. Throw that in the pot. Mm-hmm. Get our tomatoes here. Again, just the ground, not mold. Like we throw away a lot of stuff when we think, oh no, it's mold. No, it's not white, it's not fuzzy, it's not like black, it's just the ground. It's fine. I like to cut these into fours. And you can go as small as you want. I'll go too large, but if you like chunky tomatoes in your stew and you want to feel like you got a good bite of one, then go ahead and make them larger. I use some tomato paste for the base. It'll thicken it up. I mean, I suppose you could just use tomatoes, break them down over time, just keep adding and adding, but that would take a ton to thicken it up. This needs to be a thick stew. I want it to be dark in color, to absorb into the rice and the bread when you eat it. Throw these tomatoes in the pot. Lastly, we have our yellow onions. These are two small yellow onions. If you get a big one, I would only use one. Not too picky about how I get the skin off my onions. Nobody wants to eat that. You take a layer off, you take a layer off. So be it. I tend to make the onions a little bit smaller for this than I would most things, but they're really just there for the flavor profile. Some people are like, ooh, there's a big piece of onion in my soup. Better just keep it in there kind of incognito. As long as they're not allergic, they don't know they're eating it, it won't hurt them. On that note, I do ask people if they have allergies before I just start putting stuff in. Alright, we got that onion, let's throw it in the pot. Now this is why I don't overload the pot with water right away. So I'll add as I go, because I've got a full pot of water here now because I've added all these ingredients. Just give that a little bit of stir. Oh man, I already know this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. Everything's fresh, it's gonna be delicious. Okay, so now we're gonna add beef to this. You can get this little beef pack stuff, like choice beef stew, boneless. You can take your favorite kind of steak with a lot of fat on it. You can do whatever you want here. I just thought this was convenient. I'm gonna open it up. Notice how I have a separate board for cutting meat. I don't mix my vegetable and my meat boards. I just try to kind of make sure the pieces are a little bit smaller. It's good, especially when you're cooking for a lot of people. And sometimes this meat is tough, so to speak, so it needs to break down. But like this is much too large. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna cut that probably twice to make 3 pieces out of it. So we ended up something like this. And I'm just gonna keep doing that. I find that it makes the stew more enjoyable to have smaller pieces. But if you feel like you want those big pieces, you go right ahead. Doesn't ruin the recipe. This is an old recipe. We're talking like, this is the kind of food that like Jesus probably ate when he was growing up. This is the kind of food that you haven't even started cooking it yet. Somebody will walk in your kitchen and they'll be like, ooh, something smells good. It just really gives you that like home vibe, you know? It's like, man, it's good to be home. This is what mom's cooking smelled like. This is gonna be great. And this does make a lot of food too. So I mean, the small pot that I'm making probably feed like 8 people if you wanted to. Comfortably too, like. It's a good food to share. Yeah, what's better than eating with all the people you care about in life? What's nice about this is even if you don't want all this beef, you could take everything we just did and keep it right there and make it vegetarian. It'd still be a real hearty stew. It'll still have a bold flavor profile. Serve it over some rice. It's gonna be delicious. It's many years since I've made something like this. And I thought, well, why not? Why not? Why not make it and why not put it on video? Because I don't know if I'll make it again soon. And it's not because it's not delicious, it's just because I make so many different things that I never really come full circle. If I keep making these videos, you'll see that I only make certain things like once a year. Like I only make chili once a year. I'll only make baklava maybe like twice a year. Most other days, I've just got some 30-minute recipe I'm cooking up with some chicken or something of the sort. Just real quick, easy, healthy. Make a salad. Good things take time. Some takes a little bit longer to cook. The only reason it takes longer to cook is because you want the beef to be real tender. You don't want to boil it. It's important not to put this on high heat. It'll make everything, all the meat will be tough. So we're going to cook it on low. We're going to cook it for a long time. I'll get to that when we turn the fire on the pot. The fattier your beef is, the more flavor this stew is going to have. So if you want to go ahead and find that fattier beef and just cut it up in the same manner, it doesn't take that long. Usually this stuff's a little bit cheaper too. Let's get all that beef into the pot. Okay, so now we have everything in our pot. Now I'm gonna turn the fire on, maybe like 2 or 3, somewhere in between. It's nothing fancy. I don't know if you guys have an electric stove, but you know what? That's all you need. I don't own a microwave. It's deliberate. I feel like the microwave takes out the nutrition profile in your food. And everything can be done on a stove as simple as this. A couple minutes here or there. Get that a nice good mix. There's a lot of beef in there, so I may salt it just a little bit more. And when I say a little with my salt, I mean like more than anybody else is gonna do. We're just gonna salt that extra good here. It's gonna be good. I'm going to stir that around, make sure all the salt gets distributed. So we're going to cook that for, let's see, it's 4:23 now. I'm probably not going to pull this off till like 7:30 or 8. It's going to cook nice and slow for a long time. I would check on it here and there. make sure the bottom doesn't burn. Just kind of give it a stir. I don't know, every half hour, 20 minutes, whatever, however the temperature of your stove heats the bottom of the pot. You kind of have to feel that one out. But every once in a while, just go ahead and get a whiff of that, give it a little bit of a spin, and then go ahead and let it settle again until it's done. Okay, so when we last saw, we were about 423 and we just put it on. And oh man, is this coming along. This smells like, I wish I could, that's the next thing we need to work on. It smells through the phone. Holy cow. You just see it's steaming. It's just coming together. It's a nice brew. The okra's changing color. The beef's probably almost all the way cooked. We're still in between 2 and 3 because it needs to be a slow boil. Again, we don't want tough meat, so we just need to keep this nice and slow cooked. Beef will be done in a little bit. It's not already, but we still kind of want to resonate all the flavors. It's looking good. Okay, so we're almost done here with everything. It's a little bit longer. I know I said I could pull it off at 7:30 earlier, but you know, we're making the rice, we're making the bread. Take a little bit extra time. The bread came out so perfectly, and here's one of the things that I always loved to do when I was a kid. Take the bread. Mom's not looking, right? You're like, oh, I just need a little bit of a taste. Gotta taste it, right? Oh wow. The bread is so chewy. And the soup is so good. How could this be? Oh man. Anyway, always like a little bit of a taste test there. It's delicious. Okay, the okra, the stew. Oh my gosh. What an amazing thing this is here. Let's see if we can get right over the top of it. Oh, look at that. The beef, nice and tender, slow cooked. You know, that's why you don't boil it. All those tomatoes and the okra. This just smells so good. It smells like home. I know we just dipped the bread in it for a snippet. It's so good. There's the rice. Getting back there, we're gonna serve all this together. Getting ready to plate it. I thought I'd give it one last stir, and we'll give the rice its proper attention for its video. And we'll go ahead and put this all together as a big meal. All right, so we just plated the rice for the stew. Now we need to plate some stew, right? That's what this is all about. Stew is big and it's heavy. Let's see if we can get this on here without making too much of a mess. Oh my gosh. Let's look at this hearty stew. Oh, look at it. So good. Just kind of drizzle it on. I mean, if you want more soup, go for it. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Oh, this is gonna be so good. I'm on a fancy $2 plate. Let's get that out of the way. Bring that bread over. Perfect golden loaf. The bottom. This is one of the best breads I've ever made. Awesome. Can't believe that came out on the video. Look at that. That is an okra stew, people, over a bed of beautiful rice with wonderful chewy bread. Every bite's gonna be flavorful. Every bite's gonna make you feel like this is really wholesome. And you know, life's all about good food and friends, right? So thank you so much for being with me through this long process, and I hope that you guys enjoy the heck out of this. It's one of my all-time favorites. Just thanks for being in Joe's Corner, and you know, until next time, the Shirtless Chef signing out.